Let's break this bitch down. Act 1. Let's set some stuff up.
Our film begins with two fugly white guys discussing how guns are the key to world peace on public access television with a load of pistols elegantly placed onto an American flag in front of them. Off to a great start. I mentioned this before in the pre-show, but as I was reading this, I completely forgot this entire scene. So all of the nuances and stuff of it, like, it's really nice to revisit and, kind of get a breakdown, play-by-play of everything that's going on in this, like, sensory overload of an opening scene.
What a great scene this was. This is actually Paul Schrader read this, and this was what convinced him to do the movie. This opening scene.
Really?
He said he read because the opening with the two idiots on the public access talking about guns, and that was like, oh, I love this. This has got to be a great film.
And then I took it to the studio.
And
it kind of makes sense because this feels so different from everything else in the movie.
It really
he could have kept with this tone and maybe worked, something a little bit better. But anyway,
he said he was inspired by the movie. I think it was Belly, with this weird color scheme thing that he did. It's just like it's just so off-putting, the whole opening.
Suddenly, the perspective changes to Willem Dafoe, a.k.a. Mad Dog, chilling inside of a Barbie Playhouse set, enthralled by this riveting program thanks to a few healthy snorts of coke. Every inch of this place is pink and covered in flowers. Even the lighting is pink. And it's really nauseating.
Yes, it is.
For some reason, he has an eyeball tattooed to his chin, which we get the pleasure of looking at for way too long to be comfortable, just in case the pink Pee-wee's Playhouse decor isn't making you sick already. I imagine the chair was about to just start talking to him.
Here's a tip for everybody. Do not eat dinner while you watch this opening scene, because it will not be good. It's not pleasurable.
He gets a call about cupcakes of some sort on a TV that floats next to his head that is replaced by a TV of the guys jerking each other off about guns, then the opening to Fight Club, I think, then the gun guys, then an Elvis bobblehead, then finally a pink phone shaking uncontrollably on the wall. I'm as baffled as everybody is.
This is all true, too.
The only way to do this scene justice is to just frankly state what's going on, I guess.
Yeah.
It's such a, like, your brain just gets like, what the fuck? Trying to piece it, I don't know. I blocked it. Like, I don't remember this until I'm reading it. I keep forgetting about it. It's just like, it was too much.
It's like being raped as a kid. I blocked it out.
You have to see it to believe it. It's just like, what a way to open a movie. I mean, I get. Like, I thought maybe it's because he's high, but like, I don't know. Coke doesn't make you hallucinate, as far as I know. But maybe he was on other stuff and we didn't see it, because we see he's mixing things a little bit up here. So maybe he's got a more cocktail going on.
Paul Schrader said he wanted to just make it clear. This is what he said was, make it clear that this is not your average film and that you're in for a ride. With those stupid TVs that just appeared above a guy who has an eyeball under his chin.
I forgot about that too.
And to make it a comedy, like to make it clear that this is a comedy, and if you're taking it seriously at this point, you're watching the wrong film. His words, exactly.
Mission unaccomplished.
Which again, I think may have worked if the rest of the movie was this bad shit, like bizarre visuals and weird surreal stuff going on.
They try to do it a couple times. Like, there's this weird CGI heart later on, and like a couple of things.
They do it, but it's infrequent enough to just be off-putting and confusing and disorienting, rather than like the style of the movie.
It's like he was pseudo trying to tap into like an Oliver Stone look, but failed because I mean, there's just no cohesiveness to the whole thing.
Mad Dog picks up the phone by ripping it off. I got the visual of him doing it. Mad Dog picks up the phone by ripping it off the wall and answers some really weird questions about what he does for a living from a random stranger on the phone who already knew his name. He explains that he doesn't have any money and that he guts fish for a living, while another phone in the house rings and a kid talks about a bird cupcake factory on an answering machine. So it's like, what? How is a second phone ringing while he's on the phone? I mean, I guess two lines exist, but
party line? I don't know. Also, we've established that this isn't set in the 90s. Who the fuck has one of those bell-ringing phones nowadays? Even in 2016.
Have you seen this lady's house, dude? Come on.
That's true.
It fits perfectly with the rest of her decor.
The guy on the phone is surprised people still gut fish for a living, and Willem loses his mind from the guy making fun of the job he never once does in the film, then is never mentioned again. Calls the guy a motherfucker for calling him at dinner time and destroys the phone. What a great scene.
Quick fact here, the guy on the phone is none other than the screenwriter himself, Matthew Wilder.
Oh my God.
So Willem smashing that phone is exactly what we all wanted to do to Matthew Wilder after watching this movie.
That's awesome. He heads out of the pink paradise to the blue room of the house. You know, how everyone has color-coded rooms in their house. I think it's a bathroom.
It's like a bathroom and he hangs out.
But it looks like an airplane bathroom. It's got a sliding door and like a little closet under the stairs looking thing. It's this tiny little thing. Anyway.
I had this theory about that blue room. I don't remember what color it is, but they put a certain color in bathrooms in, I think, the UK to stop people from doing heroin in the bathrooms. Because they can't see a vein, and I feel like it was blue, so like he wouldn't be able to see his vein in that blue light.
That you may be giving it too much credit, but that's interesting. But that would make sense. He shoots up some heroin in the blue room, which is good because obviously the dude needs to take the edge off a little. Just ride those uppers and downers.
Yeah.
He just had a traumatic experience with that phone call, dude. He's got to level out.
Don't we all hate telemarketers that much? Yeah. Thankfully, the heroin scene is cheerfully scored by the music they play at baseball stadiums between innings, so it's fun.
Play ball.
Next, we see Mama June and Honey Boo Boo enter Barbie's Playhouse with some groceries. Willem pops out of the blue room high as shit on heroin and smugly looking like he just took a shit on her pillow, which causes the woman to be scared for some crazy reason and tells him he can't stay there. He explains that his car's in the shop, so he needs to crash there for the night. The woman, who is named Sheila, is upset that he took her Chevron card to pay for his repairs, but he promises to make her some ribs and eat her booty, so everything is cool.
That's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, eat some ass, get a place to crash.
Eat some ribs, eat some ass. What a great night.
Eat some ass, got a place to crash. We gotta put that on a t-shirt.
There's a quick fact here is Sheila, the woman who plays Sheila, I don't know what she's doing these days, but in 2016 she was a big star on Vine, and that's kind of how she got discovered. She did these like angry fat woman videos on Vine that everybody loved.
Hopefully she made it to TikTok.
Yeah. Did she make the transition?
Right. He then kisses this woman who's literally half his age and twice his size. Quick fact, Willem Dafoe is 5'9". I don't really know where I was going with this. He just looked really short in the scene, and I wanted to see if it was an intentional shot to make him look tiny next to Sheila, but who knows?
I think so. I think that was intentional. And he's got to be like 130 pounds in this movie. He's just... Yeah. He looks so skinny, like a junkie.
Then the kid comes in and gets upset that he erased the messages about the cupcakes, which I have questions about. Why would he have erased the messages? When would he have erased the messages if he was shooting heroin in the blue room? Why would it matter if he erased the messages? And what the hell is the story with the cupcakes anyway? We don't see him erase these messages, so...
Why the fuck would he in the first place? Like,
he was ignoring the call completely.
And then she's like all mad.
Rationalize a crazy man.
You erased the messages for my cupcake, whatever the hell is going on.
And she couldn't just call her friend back and get the...
Yeah, why just call her back?
To talk to her. I don't know.
I'm never doing a project
We
with
need
you
some
ever
dramatic
again.
tension in this scene with an insane guy shooting up drugs in this lady's house who clearly doesn't want him there. We need some kind of dramatic tension. We need conflict. We need conflict.
Cupcakes.
So the natural thing is some shit about cupcakes. Next, we see Mad Dog making nightmare faces in the mirror while he trips on heroin for a solid minute for some reason. Before we see that brilliant scene is interrupted by Sheila screaming for Mad Dog to come into the room. I thought the visuals were actually really cool. It was like this funhouse mirror effect for the delayed refraction.
Paul Schrader said that was to trigger, the audience to know that this is a comedy, right before this horrifying thing that is about to happen.
I mean, I laughed really hard at the upcoming scene.
Okay.
That's the best response.
I'm trying to think of how that's supposed to convey it's a comedy, because it just was some trippy visuals. To me, it was like to convey that he's tripping balls.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul gets this whole comedy thing. I don't think he's got a finger on the comedic pulse.
No, I don't think so either. His idea of comedy is probably really fucked up. That's all I can think.
Anyway, Sheila explains that she uses her computer for church, taxes, and emails, but apparently she doesn't use it for hardcore Asian squirt porn. To which I ask, why even have a computer, honestly? What else are you going to, you're paying way too much if you're just doing it for church, taxes, and emails.
Seriously.
Also, how does she use the computer for church? What does that even mean?
Bible
does she
study.
go to Zoom church meetings?
Yeah, maybe this was pre-pandemic Zoom church.
She politely asks him to leave by yelling for him to get the fuck out, to which he says he has nowhere else to go. And for some reason, that he has a suitcase full of guns, and what's he supposed to do? Carjack some old guy like some N-word from the projects? But of course, he doesn't say the N-word.
No.
Just so we need to know he's a bad guy and a racist.
There is a lot of I know that this jives with the storytelling of Paul Schrader throughout the years, and especially his work with Scorsese. But there's just so much unnecessary racism that is just uncomfortable, especially for 2016. Yeah. And he said something in the commentary about people saying that he was trying to make a statement about the Black Lives Matter protests, which had just started at that point. And he said, I had no intention of doing that whatsoever. And so, if it does convey something, it was completely unintentional. But there are some moments
about the blacks
that I will say are just over the top racist that
unfortunately, though, to his credit, it fits Cleveland.
Yeah,
that's true.
And we're also seeing it through the eyes of these psychopathic
delinquent
criminals.
Prisoners who just got out.
I don't think he's glorifying it.
Yeah, I don't think he's either. It just comes off so in your face.
Yeah.
People don't. Unless you're Quentin Tarantino, you don't really talk like that in movies that much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But Paul Schrader's old school, and he didn't write the script, technically.
Yeah.
Touche.
She calls him a loser and slaps him, so he does what anyone would do when someone asked you to leave their house because you jacked it to porn on their computer, did coke and heroin, destroyed their phone, and stole their credit card to pay for your repairs on your car. He slices open her throat and stabs her to death while cheerful music plays underneath. So it's fun. Happy-go-lucky. It's supposed to be a comedy.
It was so unexpected when this happened. It just was like, holy shit. This is the first scene of the movie.
Just spurts out of her throat.
Yeah.
Out of her neck.
She kind of was a bitch about telling him to leave for good reason. And he kills this woman who apparently he's been with for a long time and loved, as we find out later on in the movie. But then it gets worse.
So next he chases Sheila's daughter, who just witnessed him kill her mom, upstairs brandishing his fish gutting knife. He takes a break from the chase to grab one of the guns from his suitcase. Thank God they set that up or we'd have completely been lost, right? He breaks down the kid's door while she screams for her life and then shoots her in the head through a pillow. But it's set to cheerful music, so it's fun. Yay! That's our setup for this character. That's our setup.
Then he snorts some coke next to the body, so it's fun because it's got fun music. It's that woohoo song from like the '60s. You know, the one that.
Oh yeah, it's from like there was like Travelocity commercials used it or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
I wonder if they watched this movie and they were like, let's put that into our commercials.
I feel like they watched it and were like, let's stop putting that in our commercials.
It makes everything fun.
What a great time Willem's having.
He's about to go on a journey.
It's now 3 days later, and something terrible has happened. The entire world has lost pigment, and in reality has turned black and white for some inexplicable reason.
Quick fact on this. So, Nigel, you were partially right. But he said he decided to make the strip club scene black and white so people would wonder why it's in black and white. Swear to God, honest to God, that was the reasoning behind it. And then he found that funny little joke where Nick Cage is dressed really nicely, but then when you actually see it in color, it's this goofy ass leisure
pastel
suit.
Blue suit.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, he just wanted to throw people off because he had seen a million different strip club scenes shot in his lifetime and was like, I'm tired of seeing the same strip club scene over and over and over again.
Which is funny because this movie has like 3 sets, or everything takes place in like 3 places in this movie. A strip club, a casino, or a strip club bar, a casino bar, or a car. Most of the movie takes place in one of those 3 places, or a hotel room. So if he's saying that the problem is seeing way too many strip club scenes in movies, why did they include like 3 different strip clubs in this movie?
I have no fucking idea. Still makes no sense.
Other than an excuse to film in a strip club and have Nick Cage feel up an actress's boobs.
After him explaining it for a couple of minutes, I still don't get it. I just don't get what the rationale was. We wanted to keep people on their toes, so I just decided. And we wanted people to question, why is this in black and white? And I'm like...
We had a lot of questions.
Your job as a storyteller
to be an asshole to the audience for no reason. Like that'll teach them for trying to figure shit out in my movies.
We had a lot of questions after that opening scene. I don't think we needed this to add any more questions.
Teach people for critiquing or questioning a narrative or trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in the movie I put in front of their face.
That'll teach you.
Bringing Out the Dead is a more coherent movie than this to me. And that movie at times made no sense to me.
Yeah, that movie is a fucking masterpiece compared to this movie.
Everything is.
Yeah, pretty much. Except maybe Deadfall.
I think Deadfall's better in some ways.
Yeah.
Deadfall, as poorly as that story was told, at least it made sense up until Dr. Claw.
They kept some sort of internal logic to what was going on.
Yeah.
The legend himself enjoys a probably watered down and 3 times the price of alcohol anywhere else drink at a strip club and introduces himself as Troy. He then introduces his crew, Mad Dog and Diesel. The 3 are having a grand time at this club where, through the magic of movies, they are able to hold a conversation at a normal vocal register while music blasts in the background incessantly. I just thought that was funny.
Which is almost barely audible through the whole scene.
Yeah, they were just talking like a normal. They weren't yelling or like you'd normally have to do in a club. They were just talking. Yeah. We could hear it all sort of. He explains that people can't stand Mad Dog. You know, the guy who brutally murdered a woman and her kid 30 seconds ago. Can't imagine. But Troy says that he knows Mad Dog in a very particular way, and then cuts to him in prison, so shit is about to get real weird.
Mad Dog is 9 inches inside of Troy. No.
This isn't related, but apparently Willem Dafoe has a huge penis.
I was gonna say that.
Hey, well, it's 12 inches inside of
something. Yeah, it's in some movie where you see it, and apparently it's very, very impressive.
Well, I can't remember what movie it is,
wait
but
to see that one.
The director had him have a stunt double.
Yeah,
because
he has
the
an
director
abnormally large penis.
Confusingly large.
Confusingly large. That's it.
Confusingly large penis.
I had it backwards. So you don't see his penis in film, but it was because it was so big that they had to swap it out.
Cock double.
So I guess that's a weird backhanded compliment. Yeah. Your dick is so huge we can't show it because people won't believe that it's
People
real.
will think it's fake. It's down to your kneecap, man.
Maybe that's why. Well, we'll get to it.
Yeah. I was going to pull back on that,
Mad Dog sliced open a Nazi and saved Troy from either being raped or from doing something to revoke his parole. So that was enough for them to become lifelong friends. And it's prison, so it's fun.
Yeah. It's also set to fun music.
Diesel, on the other hand, is very bright and could have been a lawyer from Stanford, but in this universe, he beats the shit out of people and sets things on fire. Super smart. You'll be astounded at how incredibly intelligent this guy seems throughout the whole film. Mark my words.
I don't know why they felt the need to even include that, like, oh, yeah, this guy's a genius. You never see any evidence
to the
that
other
he's
two guys.
genius.
Maybe he's smart. Like compared to Troy and Mad Dog, they think he's intelligent because he's introspective or something.
I guess he just gets
just
pissed
off
at the slightest thing every frickin' time he's in any situation in this whole film, or he's just not reacting and just looking mean. He's kind of just like if you got a bulldog and just put it in the seat next to Willem Dafoe and just drove and then like did a voiceover over the top of it. It's pretty much the exact same thing.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I'm just imagining that now.
just a dog driving.
Willem Dafoe just like crying his heart out about killing his girlfriend, and then this dog just... We see Troy, apparently in the past because the world isn't black and white, getting sentenced for having coke planted on him by an asshole cop. He explains that his mom had a double mastectomy and was probably going to die, so that when his bail is denied, he decided to jump up, grab a gun from the bailiff, and run out of the courthouse, but is shot about 30 feet later. So that explains why he's in jail. Or something.
Well, he says he got, because of the coke and the... trying to escape from prison by, taking a gun and running out. He got 5 to 15.
Yeah.
Which is never explicitly stated how many years he actually served. But
I mean, I gotta put it back on him. He got caught by the cops because he made the simple mistake of sitting in his pass out chair, and they got him.
That damn pass out chair gets you every time.
Gets him every time.
Just never leaves that thing.
Troy says Diesel and Mad Dog got out first, so they threw him this glorious black and white strip club bash to celebrate. Troy says he, Mad Dog, and Diesel were Facebook friends before Facebook, and then makes fun of some guy's red pants, I think. He says, the red fucking jeans that hug the elephant's leg, I had no clue. Which, maybe I'm not hip to the street talk, but that doesn't make a lick of sense to me. I don't understand what he's...
No, not at all.
Anyway, the guy gets upset because Troy is yelling gibberish at him, so he tells him to get the fuck out of his business, which causes Mad Dog and Diesel to almost kill the dude for some reason. just get into a slight altercation, and they want to murder him. Real stable guys. These are our protagonists.
Yeah, these are our heroes. What the fuck did that mean? The red fucking jeans that hug the element's leg. Okay, I'm trying to break it down. So... the guy's wearing red jeans and they're tight, so you
which
can see
we can't tell
dick.
Because it's black and white.
Yes.
Right.
So he has to tell us they're red.
I'm thinking that the element's leg is his dick, but on the commentary or on the subtitles, element was capitalized. So.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about a rapper or something because they'd been discussing, or at some point they discussed like current rappers, and I thought the element was a rapper that they knew.
What famous rapper is hanging out in Cleveland, though?
There are multiple times when I literally just stopped paying attention to the dialogue because I couldn't. I was getting more lost with what was going on currently because trying to figure out what the hell had just happened or what they had been said. But,
I feel like I painstakingly tried to break them all out to just try and figure out what the fuck they're trying to say, which is, pretty much the next line after this.
Kind of a fool's errand, yeah. Then to calm down his friends, Troy says, we're in this together. We go through that door together, we come out together, and anything other than that, you're a piece of shit. It's a good time to quickly remind the audience that the co-writer of this film wrote Taxi Driver.
One of the greatest films of all time.
Go through anything other than that, we're a piece of shit.
What the hell does that even mean? Like, okay, let's break that down. We're in this together.
Right, so
obviously, they're together. We go through the door together. They all came together. They will not leave this club without all of them being together.
They go out together.
Anything
they're still in a group.
Other than that, you're a piece of shit.
So if you ever try to leave the group, you're a piece of shit.
I guess.
But
okay. Excellent.
It makes sense if you don't think about it.
Yeah, I just didn't think about it.
I think they need to give Michael Caine's Pulitzer from the last movie.
Mad Dog says a bunch of racist stuff about rappers, surprise, is upset that Taylor Swift exists and mistakes Egypt for Iraq, while Troy compliments the suit he and Diesel got him, which prompts a weird-ass shot of Nick Cage looking directly into the camera, doing an Elvis impression, or having a seizure while trying on the new suit back before all color was sucked from the universe. It's here that we realize that the entire scene has been in black and white to cover up the fact that the stupid suit is a baby blue pastel color that would have been super stylish in the 70s.
One thing I noticed the second time around, or I guess it was the third time around, when I was finally finishing up looking for all the cagiest moments and stuff, it was actually the genius who could have gone to Stanford and become a lawyer who mistaked Iraq for Egypt. It wasn't Mad Dog.
Yeah. Jesus.
Fucking A.
Diesel calls a stripper a French whore to her face, and then she and Troy head upstairs while they have a following exchange. She says, you're actually pretty fucking hot, And he says, well, you're a pretty cute kid yourself, which turned a sexy little scene into a super creepy one. Because Nicolas Cage is 55 years old and this woman's 19, 20.
Yeah.
And he's feeling her up as he says it, and it's just...
It's some creep factor. Didn't feel creepy until that line, but then it was like, ugh. Okay,
she
Grandpa.
Asked her, want to see my Humphrey Bogart impression?
You're pretty cute yourself, see?
I'm gonna grip you, see?
Just looking at you, kid. Take your top off.
Suck it.
She asks for $1,500 before she'll let him unload the gallon he saved up during his 15 years behind bars, but he's positive Mad Dog and Diesel took care of it, which of course they didn't. I was confused on that because I was like, I didn't get the impression that she was asking that they were going to have sex. I got the impression she was asking $1,500 for the lap dance since they're in a public booth, like they're not in a back room or anything like that.
Well, they went upstairs. So maybe
but if you look, you can still see people around them, behind them. Yeah, they're just up in a VIP area. They're not in a secluded room. So I'm like, okay, well, but then what lap dance is worth $1,500? So obviously it's something more. But the way they were talking about it, it's they're more overt later on in the movie. So you'd think if it was actually an interaction with a hooker, they would have. I don't know. It just was funny.
Yeah, because she also mentions go talk to the manager. And I would assume that the manager might not publicly want people to know that you can pay $1,500 to fuck one of these girls.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it was more like, I mean, I haven't been to many strip clubs. $1,500 is probably 15, 20 minutes with a stripper getting a lap dance. So maybe it's,
15, 20 minutes.
I know a guy who dropped $1,500 in about an hour and a half at a strip club.
Yeah.
And he got was lap dances. So
yeah. So I guess it makes sense.
It's pretty sad that when you actually break down how much time you spend in a typical lap dance.
Yeah,
it's not very long.
It's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So for $100, $200.
Yeah, it's half a pour some sugar on me.
Yeah. So I guess now it makes total sense. But then that begs the question, like, what lap dance is worth $1,500? You could get multiple.
I mean, she was a
hookers for
pretty
that amount of
cute
money.
kid, dude.
Yeah, she's a French whore. She's off the chain.
She's off the chain.
Aren't they in Vegas right now? I'm trying to remember.
No, it's Cleveland.
Now, so
Cleveland through the whole
yeah.
thing. Unfortunately, yeah.
I was
Even
thrown
though the
off by the
casino looks like
casinos they go
Vegas.
into.
Yeah.
Partying it up in the Cleveland
Yeah,
casinos.
the casino is the Hard Rock in Cleveland, next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I just imagine your $1,500 in Vegas would go a lot further.
I
You
would
got
think
an
so,
actual
yeah.
escort or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
So, cost of living is a lot cheaper in Cleveland, so I don't think that you would find a stripper that beautiful in Cleveland, though.
No.
I didn't see a C-section or bullet holes, so
Bullet holes. Tracks in the arm.
There's so much in-depth striponomics going on in this discussion. Troy explains that while he was in prison, he paid for whatever Diesel and Mad Dog needed. You know, if his mom needed an eye operation, shit like that. But says once you've had money, you're never sure who you can trust since they might be using you. Oh, really? You think so?
These
say
guys seem
why
like
he has
his
so
best
much money?
friend. At one point, when they're in the car, like casing out the baby job or whatever,
The big mansion or whatever.
I think Diesel says, like, you came from money, right? And then Troy's like, oh, that was a long time ago. So I think he used to have money and now he's
Right.
going
Yeah,
broke because of
yeah.
these two nincompoops he hangs out with all the time.
They leave the strip club and miraculously, color returns to the world. The color out of place.
that's what we could call Act 2.
Or Act 3, the finale.
Oh, yeah. The
Color out of place. Troy decides
Pretty
that since he's been
accurate
out of,
description, actually, of the last act.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Troy decides that since he's been out of prison for 10 minutes and he's on 2 strikes, he should probably get back to doing some crime. He hooks up with an old buddy named Greco the Greek, who's played by writer-director Paul Schrader, which we mentioned before, who is just an atrocious actor. Like, holy shit, you could have walked outside in Hollywood, thrown a rock, and found a better actor. Also, his voice sounds like if you combine Tom Waits and Nick Nolte into the same person, had them gargle rock salt shortly before catching laryngitis.
It's a friend of mine, Armenian dude, former friend actually, used to be a deputy DA prosecuting drug cases.
So I have 2 quick facts for this. One, Paul Schrader actually had laryngitis during this scene. So there you go.
Wow. All right.
There you go.
He had 3 scenes he shot in one day. All of his parts were all shot in one day, and all 3 of them he was fighting laryngitis, so it works for his character, I guess.
So I'm half right with this joke because the quick fact you're going to mention
Yes,
after that.
this is an amazing list of people that Paul Schrader approached to play the role of Greco the Greek. Michael Wincott, Michael Douglas, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Nick Nolte, Christopher Walken, Jeff Goldblum, and Rupert Everett.
What the fuck?
Apparently, Martin Scorsese actually agreed to do the role, but when it came to the shooting schedule, it ended up landing on Martin Scorsese's birthday. And he said in the commentary that they actually, at that point in shooting, wouldn't have even had the budget to pay for his flight to come to Cleveland to shoot the role.
Damn.
So, since none of that worked out, to avoid going over budget, he played the role himself and made $900 because of, the union.
Himself. I
and
guess
stuff.
the studio paid him.
You have to pay.
Scorsese was gonna do it, but he couldn't. And then I ended up doing it.
I was gonna get Nick Nolte for some reason.
So there, I made the Nick Nolte joke, not even realizing that.
That's fucking
was
hilarious.
considered.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Here's $5,000.
I would have loved to see Christopher Walken in that role, though.
Oh my god, would have been so good.
Any of them.
I got a job for you. $5,000. I got an Armenian friend. Well, former friend, actually.
I think for our Patreon followers, we need to have you do his readings as Christopher Walken.
Yeah, it's rambling, incoherent things. Yeah. Just edit it into the movie.
I would love to do that. That'd be great, actually.
The Greek gives Troy $5,000 that he doesn't want him to share with the lunatics he hangs out with. He then mumbles and ums his way through a barely understandable monologue about an Armenian friend, a former friend actually, who used to be a district attorney who got sick of going poor while his clients got so rich, so he switched sides, got a bungalow, a little puss on the side, but now he needs some money his wife don't know about. And there's this, it's set over a montage flashback scene of this character that we don't really see again. It's just there.
It's never referenced again.
To provide more visual noise to the to the indecipherable dialogue.
There was a lot of moments that felt like it was like he was trying to do what Scorsese does, you know?
Right. You do a monologue, you flash over, show what's going on as someone talks about it.
But not done well. By the way, the framing of that scene, I don't know if you noticed it.
Yes.
Where his head is just kind of off in the corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've only ever seen that in one other place, and it was the TV show Bad Robot. And guess what? In the commentary, he said, "Yeah, I just watched Bad Robot, and I really like the framing."
And
just to throw people off guard.
It was distracting.
Those shots pulled me out. I thought that was why I didn't understand the story that he was telling. It just turns out he was telling an incoherent story to begin with anyways.
He's just not using the visual medium of film in a way that is conductive to what he's talking about.
Yeah. No. He's trying to make it
using
more
it
interesting.
To the detriment. Right,
but not make the story interesting in the slightest.
But he failed on both fronts.
Yeah, because done well, you can play with conventions that we all naturally have from watching thousands of movies, and you can change the way shots are framed to disorient people and to cause confusion. But
it has to have a point, and in Bad Robot, it has a point. Like the whole thing is like trying to throw you off the whole time because he's like this schizophrenic weirdo. Spoilers, and like everything he sees is disjointed and screwed up because his brain doesn't work like other people. So it makes sense in that context. It doesn't make sense here just because you saw it in a show and you're like, I like that. Let's do this scene for no goddamn reason.
Then he calls a black guy a monkey, who calls himself Moon Man, but they used to call him Balloon Head, but now they call him Guard. Then he tells Troy about all the different cars this guy drives and that he's got a fat friend who he thinks is his bodyguard. Why any of this is relevant, I have no idea. All it seems to accomplish is to make the dialogue practically impossible to follow in the slightest. Just like,
I had no idea what his actual name was. In the subtitles it says Moon Man, but I didn't pick that up until the third time I watched it because he's like calls himself Moon Man. He used to call himself Balloon Head, but now he calls himself Guard. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is his name then? Just say what his name is. Why did you say that?
It's Guard now.
Is it Guard because he says his name is Moon Man?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Anyway, the DA guy told the Greek how to rip off whatever the fuck this guy's actual name is and sends Troy and his goons to do the job. Troy says they need cop uniforms, and then he tells him that Mad Dog is joining in on the fun. Then the Greek gets upset at the thought of Mad Dog joining in on the job, and he can't understand why Troy does business with him. Same here. We're all in agreement.
So I picked up again on the third watch that he doesn't know where the stash is. This DA doesn't contribute anything to it. He's just like, you guys got to figure out where the stash is, and then they don't.
Say like this drug dealer's got money. That's the tip.
Yeah, like obviously, god damn it. They don't like beat it out of him in the car. They just are like, we're going to your stash. We already know where it is. And he's like, they already knew where it was. And it's like, how did they find out? Because
like they should have made him direct it to where it is.
Yes.
That's what I thought they were going to do. But then
That
they
would've
say
made
like,
sense.
explicitly they knew where it was already, and they just brought him there to open the door, I guess. Which doesn't even work because the guy behind the door immediately sees they're holding the guy at gunpoint. So they could have just. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Then he says, like the old fudge puncher said, a man kills the things he loves. Wait, is that who says that? Is that Troy? Or is that
No, that was
that's it.
Greco. Yeah.
That's Greco.
What the fuck does that mean? All right, let's break it down. The old fudge puncher is apparently Oscar Wilde, because he was gay. Mm-hmm. A man kills the thing he loves comes from the poem The Ballad of Reading Jail. Something Troy, a man who just had sex with a stripper a third of his age and just got out of prison where he was for 15 years, instantly knew what he was referring to. Maybe they read a lot of Oscar Wilde in prison.
Yeah, they read a lot of Oscar Wilde, gay guy in prison, where they're completely offended by black people who listen to rap the whole time. What I got from that was like, if you read into that story, it's like a man kills the thing that he loves, and it was basically talking about Mad Dog loving Troy so much that eventually he's going to cause him to die or is going to fuck up his whole operation, which actually does happen. But I felt like this whole line was just written so that A, Paul Schrader would sound like a homophobe, and B, so he would sound super smart because he knows Oscar Wilde for some reason. So fucking every scene in this movie is just so fucking confusing. Why is this in the movie? Why was that necessary to put in there? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Me either.
That's how I felt the whole time. Like,
Same. Yeah.
I was like trying to write notes, but I'm like, well, I don't even know what I'm writing notes about because I don't understand really what's happening and why this is important or what even is relevant. Like, maybe it is important. Who the fuck knows? This is all the first act setup, and it's so super confusing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I guess the bottom line is we know there's 3 psychopaths that have just gotten out of prison and they're going to go rip off a drug dealer. That's all this setup.
That's all we really needed.
Yeah, that's all we needed.
20 some odd minutes into the movie. We've been talking for over an hour just to get to this point.
Act 2. Let's get some motivation up in this thing.
All right, so pseudo Act 2. This, like I said, this movie doesn't really follow the 3-act structure, but we just broke it up wherever. Yeah, doesn't really make any sense, just like the movie.
Next, we see Troy, Mad Dog, and Diesel saying some more horribly racist shit about hood rats, gangster rap, and BET in a Crown Victoria that they haphazardly dressed up like a cop car with duct tape or something. I'm not sure.
It's not even neat. It's just like 2 sloppy lines with police written in duct tape on the side of the car. And
really well done. Really well done.
And nobody notices. Everybody buys into it.
Yeah, everybody. Up until we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we'll get there.
They spot Moon Man, balloon head or guard, and his fat friend coming out of a corner store and follow them, but not before the fat guy has trouble getting in the car because, he's fat. There goes the suspension.
This is my favorite moment in the film.
They pull over the guy who I'm still unsure what his name is, so I'm just going to start calling him Rick Ross and Chunky Drew Carey. They pretend to run his license, then cuff him and put him in their car. Rick Ross gets immediately suspicious when they don't go to the police station, so Troy pulls a gun on him and says they're headed to his stash house, which we already talked about.
I just thought, like, what cop gets in the back seat with the person they just threw into the car? And
there's 3. Yeah, there's 3 cops.
3 cops.
There's no
barrier.
There's no barrier. It's just a car with police taped on the side.
With police taped on the side. Nick Cage is in the back. Yeah, but then like we're going to your stash house. They already knew where it was. That point still just bothers me. Like, they already know where it is, yet they're still. What's the point? Is kidnapping Rick Ross. I mean,
Right.
he didn't do nothing. Troy pops him in the face, and Rick Ross spits blood all over the window. So, naturally, Troy plays Got Your Nose with him for a second before heading to the stash. They pull up to the house, and Rick Ross tells the three guys, "Go home, smell you later." He looked at his kingdom. He was finally there to sit on his throne as the Prince of Bel-Air. Anyways, so things get heated right away. The neighbors get suspicious about the duct tape on decals of the cop car and start chucking shit through the window while they beat Rick Ross in an effort to find out where the stash is. So I guess they needed him to show them where the stash was, because they couldn't just look for themselves.
So they knew where the house was, but they didn't know where the stash was inside the house. So I guess that jives and makes sense with what Greco said.
But they could have just made the guy who opened the door show him where the stash was.
Or they could
the
have,
house.
yeah, they could have broken the house in the middle of the night and searched it after, incapacitating the dude who just bitched out.
Well, they had to show those cool cutaways of his mansion and him decorating it for whatever reason.
That's true.
But they're also just like in the middle of this ghetto making a shitload of noise.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a bunch of other people in this same gang.
Who happen to be the most intelligent people in this film, might I add. They're like, hey, something's not right here. What, this is fucking duct tape. We should probably do something because these guys aren't real cops.
Yeah.
So they take the law into their own hand. Mad Dog goes outside and miraculously doesn't just start blasting. Instead, he comes back in and asks permission to waste a couple. This is how we know he's grown up a lot since he brutally slaughtered Honey Boo Boo and her mom.
He's got manners. He's trying.
He's trying.
He's trying to turn a page a little bit. Yeah.
That really got to him, He's trying to change his ways. Luckily, he comes back inside because Mad Dog ends up spotting a false wall and kicks it in, revealing the drugs they're after. When someone from outside shoots blindly into the house, sending them all to the floor, before they then decide to get up and storm right out the front door into a crowd.
So they weren't actually looking for the drugs.
At them.
They were looking for the stash still. They didn't care about the drugs. That was one of the things too that I didn't make any. They're like, they found the drugs, but they didn't want them. They wanted the stash. They wanted the money. Yeah. So they were pissed off that they found the drugs.
But they took the drugs and they end up flipping that with Greco.
Yeah.
So they still get a little bit of money.
Yeah, but they failed the job, really.
Yeah, they failed the job. They're not the best at this.
5 minutes more, they probably could have found the stash.
He only paid him $5,000 to do this job, which is, a third of what it costs to get a lap dance. So you're not getting the best.
In terms of lap dances, not the best payout. With a body like that, I'm sure Mad Dog could have made more money stripping than he does as a criminal. Mad Dog fires
I'd pay
a shot.
extra just for the eyes, every time I see those eyes. Extra dollar. Mad Dog fires a shotgun into the air, causing everyone to scatter like little cockroaches so they can make their grand escape. The three of them celebrate pulling off the perfect crime by partying at a Motel 6 or something. Troy asked mumbling Greek for $10,000 for pulling off the job, but he only gives him $9,000. He spent $300 of it on some broads and got Mad Dog a little Coke because that's what he needs.
Well, how else are you going to have your little gay party in the Motel 6 room with the shirtless men?
Thank you, Nigel, because then we watched them party by jumping on the bed, dancing, doing coke, smoking weed, rubbing Diesel's head, eating Fruit Loops with orange juice, which is by far the most offensive thing here, flicking each other's wieners, speaking in tongues, and screaming at the top of their lungs about stealing shit in a hotel with paper-thin walls, all through a distorted video effect for some goddamn reason. I don't understand what his thought process was behind this scene.
To make you look disorienting, man.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It's cool.
It felt like something out of Zoolander, like when they were having the gasoline fight. Yeah, because they were just...
I can't remember...
when you're trying to watch HBO on cable, that was the effect that I got. It was
same.
For a second you can see a boob, and then it goes back to just distortion, and then...
Yeah.
It's just
I feel like it was just to make us
in this
sick.
hotel room.
I mean, it was to remind us that it was a comedy, guys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I really got the vibe that they
movie's
had to
hilarious.
film that. Like that's filmed in a budget hotel room because they literally could only afford a budget hotel room to film this.
Seriously looks like a
party
Motel
scene.
6, man.
100%. I believe it was. It was filmed in a Motel 6. Which
They
is,
didn't tell them they were doing it. They probably didn't have the permits to do it. They just
no, they just filmed it.
Is that
Which is why they
Nick
couldn't really do
Cage
anything.
and Willem Dafoe going into
they couldn't
room
really
16?
do anything hardcore, like trashing the room or anything. They just had to like take their shirts off and be
Slap
silly.
each other around.
Yeah, just be something they can clean up really easily. Don't go too overboard, guys. Just be a little silly.
Fruit Loops and orange juice, dude.
I think
That's how you know they're crazy.
Paul Schrader said that they like he would film them for hours. Like that was his intention. And he's done this many times. Is what he said. Is like I just have the actors just do a bunch of silly stuff for hours, and then I just cut it together. Like
that sounds
a
like
little
what
perverted.
That's what sounds like your uncle tells the judge when he's at his court hearing.
Jump around for hours.
Just jump around for hours, you know? Just being silly. They head to a casino for more meaningless to the story partying, where we'll spend 11 minutes that could have been trimmed from the film, and you'd never know the difference. A skanky-looking girl who just so happens to look exactly like my buddy's wife, sorry, Kevin, is instantly turned on by Diesel's charms at the bar when he points at the bartender and says, "This fucking dude's a cock." First words I said to Nigel and Patrick, word for word, we instantly fell in love. He then goes on a rant about how he likes his drink without ice, then shows her the spa menu for some reason. She suggests he throw the ice cubes into the bartender's face, and he says that wouldn't be a good choice. Then she feels his muscles, and they decide to head back to his room. So, to recap, in the 1 minute and 26 seconds they've known each other, he called a dude just doing his job a cock, explained what a neat cocktail is, showed her the spa menu. She said he should beat up the bartender since he's a big guy. He made it clear that if he did, he'd go back to prison. She felt his arm, and that was enough for her to decide, yeah, this dude seems safe. I'll head back to his room with him.
Paul Schrader himself described this entire casino bit of the movie that is 11 minutes of absolute nothing, that is completely unnecessary. The intermission of the film. You know how all good movies just don't have a fucking point in the middle of the movie?
Checks out. I went and took a piss during this 11 minutes. So.
If none of the movie has a point, how would you know when the part that has no point is the intermission?
Yeah. They should have just put a big intermission over the entire scene.
Yeah.
With some music.
This is pointless. This is pointless. This is pointless.
Do you know where Nice is?
I mean, I guess the point was to show that all three of them can't even get with hookers.
Yeah.
That was kind of the point I got out of this whole section was like, these guys are absolute fucking losers, and unless they're pulling off a job, they have nothing to do with their lives. They're just losers in every facet of their entire being. So, yeah, unless they're committing crimes, they might as well just be dead.
Spoiler alert. So next we see Mad Dog getting a really uncomfortable looking back massage, which, now that I'm thinking about it, could have been a pretty intense pegging session.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
She was like beating him on the back.
Yeah. I had to rewind because I'm like, is he getting ass fucked? Or something? Like, it's like in the background and they close the door on it. Like, I don't want to go in there. But
one thing I was
massage.
very confused of, I guess this could be saved for the questions section, but like in the Motel 6 earlier, he said that he paid $300 for some broads, but when we get there, Troy obviously has a hooker, Mad Dog has a masseuse,
yeah.
And Diesel doesn't have, he just picked up some random chick at the bar. So who did he pay $300 to, and why does she ask for $300 later for a blowjob? Well, we'll get there, but
Yeah,
I
don't
figured
know.
this was a different set of.
So this was a
women.
different time, right?
It had to
But
be.
why don't we see those women at
Or it got lost in the
crazy, frenetic scene of them like
Three
partying
guys
at the
messing
Motel
around.
6?
Who fucking knows? So Troy closes the door that connects his room with Mad Dog's because obviously lifelong friends like these would have adjoining rooms. Troy asks a prostitute if she's ever been to Nice, France. And you'd never guess it, but no, she's never been. Troy continues to wax poetic about Nice and how he went there as a kid. He says he wants to go back after he makes some money and asks if she wants to go with him. They seem to have a real connection here.
So I guess there's another hint that he came from money because they had vacationed in Nice when he was a kid.
They've been able to leave the country, which, I mean, looking at this chick, definitely didn't grow up in the same financial background.
Yeah.
He says she looks like Marlene Dietrich and explains that he really likes the classic stars of the 30s, like Bogart, Cagney, and Edward G. Robinson, who talks like this, see? Yeah. Why on earth did I point that out, you might be asking? Well, stay tuned. She tells him that she needs $300 to go down on him, but it'll be worth it because she knows how to do it. Then instantly gags on his fingers. Not fingers. She puts like 3, almost 4 fingers in her mouth and starts gagging. She can't handle that. I just gotta say, she's a lying bitch. Something tells me that wasn't part of the initial scene. Like, I think she went a little overboard.
I think it was just his comedy again, you know.
That's right.
It was kind of funny.
It was there to remind us this is a comedy.
Yeah, see?
Well, I don't get it, though. There was no distorted facial expressions, so I don't know how we're supposed to know that it's funny.
Troy then again asks her if she wants to go to Nice, and she says probably not, since she's got to get her headshots taken, and her gay roommate is going to help her record a record album. It's pretty standard for most hookers.
Well, she needs to get a new job.
They're going to be a model.
Yeah, she's going to be a model/singer.
She's obviously not good at being a prostitute, so falling back on her music career.
Then Troy asks this nincompoop if she's ever heard of a gemstone called black tourmaline, which I hadn't heard and have trouble pronouncing because I'm a child. And you'd never guess it, but no, she's never heard of it. At this point, like during these scenes, I started, and I know you guys are on the same wavelength, like, what is the point of this fucking movie? What is the point of these fucking scenes? Anyways.
He's just a hard on his luck criminal.
Yeah.
Who wants to get back to the fancy life.
You know, things in this
like,
world happen sometimes, you know?
I guess. The whole time, like, he's trying to make this connection with her, and she has no interest in it. Yeah, he still keeps plowing on, like, trying. And
if
then,
that ain't life, I don't know what is.
And then, his conclusion is she's just a bitch.
Yeah.
I can't believe she
fucking plus. He says later.
I can't believe she wouldn't want to go to Paris with him, or Nice. She wouldn't want to go to Nice with him. Pop back over in Mad Dog's room, where he's getting a unenthusiastic hand job from the masseuse, who isn't apparently into it because of Willem Dafoe's weirdly shaped stomach, which you really do have to see because it was super distracting. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed it, but what the hell was going on with that?
What the hell was going on with that, like,
and she's
concave thing?
She's totally jerking off his knee, like his right knee, in the way their eye line and where her hand's located is not where his penis should be.
Like we said before, he's got a huge cock.
He's got a huge dick,
could be.
so
He's got a tripod.
there you go.
He's got a tripod.
I thought about that when I saw that. I was like, is that supposed to be clever, or are they just like she doesn't want to go anywhere near the 70-year-old man's crotch for the $300 they paid her to be in this scene?
I think she got less than that, Nigel, let's be honest.
She might have been an actual hooker. That's where the $300 went. We don't want to pay an actress for this.
Yeah. Just get a hooker off the street. They should be easy to find. She starts checking her phone, which really pisses Mad Dog off, so he throws her out, which is probably the kindest thing he does in this movie.
Paul Schrader said that there was a cut scene of him actually going back to the bed and jerking himself off while repeating, "I'm not a loser, I'm not a loser," over and over and over again. And he thought that pulled people out of the movie.
Not William Dafoe's oddly shaped stomach, but him jerking off. Yeah.
Or this whole scene?
This whole 11 minutes?
God.
Over in Diesel's room, the whore he picked up after less than 2 minutes is raiding his minibar. Diesel explains that it takes 1.1 gallons of water to make one almond, reminding us he's a genius who could have been a lawyer from Stanford.
He knows the Snapple facts, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. He's good for something.
I identified with him in this scene because I know all kinds of these stupid-ass, useless facts as well. So,
Well, you should have been a lawyer, sir.
They then have a conversation about how Elliot Smith died, which, for those who don't know, is a way more interesting story than everything that's happened up to this point in this movie so far.
It actually is. It's actually a really interesting story and really fucked up how he died, but
and it's way more interesting than how this movie continues to go.
we just put can we put on a movie about Elliot Smith?
Yeah, let's talk about Elliot Smith for the rest of this thing.
Yeah. Diesel isn't as enthralled as you might imagine, since he just wants to get down to knocking boots, and this dumb skank he's known for 3 minutes of screen time won't give it up. Which leads to him freaking out because she keeps trying to get to know him, and the reasonable thing to do is break a glass. Naturally she runs out of the room. She's fucking terrified him.
It's because she finds out he's from prison, apparently. Like, she just learns this. And he freaks out because he's like, didn't I make it clear down in the bar when I said I shouldn't assault the bartender? It would have been a bad idea. And apparently she's supposed to infer that means that he's on his second strike and would go back to prison for life if he did that.
Yeah.
And she's dumb, so she didn't take anything of it. And then he freaks out because she's just stupid and didn't realize that he had been in prison.
Yeah.
And then he chases her out.
Yeah.
What kind of idiot doesn't know that it takes 1.1 gallons of water to grow an almond? Therefore, it's better for the environment than a Snickers. Oh, wait, no, opposite. Snickers are better for the environment.
Yes.
Unless it's an almond Snickers.
Fuck.
Yeah. You're really screwed.
He chases her down the hall to apologize, but for some reason, this unhinged psycho's wily charms don't work on her. He explains that he's not a violent person, even though every moment he's been in this movie, he's been violent. She says she doesn't feel comfortable and leaves, which, I mean, fucking pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think she would have ended up dead.
Yeah, I think so too. The next morning, the three of them meet up in a food court where Mad Dog tells Troy how much he appreciates the amazing night he had with the unenthusiastic masseuse. He says they need to get real jobs with big money, which prompts Mad Dog to say that he loves rubbing his bare feet on carpet since they didn't have carpet in prison and that prison floors are covered in boogers and jizz. He then compares the fill of carpet on his feet to soft, shaved pussy. Quick fact, Mad Dog's lines were directly lifted from Die Hard. Okay, they weren't, but it would have been totally hilarious to hear John McClane say that before blasting an entire group of Eurotrash terrorists.
This is like soft-shaved pussy, Holly. Make fists with your toes.
Holly. Our marriage would have worked out if your pussy felt more like this floor. Okay. Troy then says he's going to get them a gig, so good, it'll take their tits off.
Nah, I'll get us a real good gig. I'll get us such a good gig. Take her tits off.
To which I thought when he said that, what the fuck does that mean? Why does any of this need to be in the film? This doesn't add any value.
It's the intermission. It's the intermission, man.
It just prolongs this movie for no reason.
Had to fill an hour and a half somehow.
I guess. Fuck. Man.
This entire thing, I counted it. It was 11 minutes. So this entire section of the movie is the intermission, according to the director of the film, who put an intermission of boring shit in the middle of the movie for no fucking reason other than to just have an intermission in the movie. 11 minutes of screen time that didn't have to be there in any way, shape, or form. It was almost like, how Tarantino just kind of has a cut back to something else. Mm-hmm. It's like a whole nother story. Like, it was almost like he was trying to do that, but he couldn't afford other actors or any other sets or anything. He was just, well, let's just have an intermission. That'll be fun. That'll make
right.
this
I don't
comedy
think he
hilarious.
understands.
It's roughly 12% of the runtime, by the way.
I don't think he understands what the definition of intermission is.
Like I said, I think the whole point of this whole thing was to just show how much of the, losers these guys are.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean,
and they had no other choice but to continue. They pulled off this job, and things could have been fine, and they could have quit, but they didn't have anything else in their lives.
They can't function and
They
do
can't
anything
function
else.
like normal humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the Mumbling Greeks. Troy asks a Mexican mob boss named Chepe if he looks like Humphrey Bogart, since a movie producer in prison said he looked like a stretched out Humphrey Bogart.
Do you think I look like Humphrey Bogart?
No.
Well, you see, that's interesting because I'm a big film buff. Bogart was the best, the king. When I was in the joint, there was a movie producer who was in there with me, and I says to him, do you think I look like Humphrey Bogart? And he says, well, yeah, you do, but a stretched out version of him.
It's a fantastic story.
Which was a compliment to him for some fucking reason. And made me wonder, does he kind of look like a stretched out? No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't look anything like Humphrey Bogart. If anything, he looks like John Cusack in this movie. Like, there are points, especially when from a distance, I'm like, he looks like John Cusack for some reason right there.
They do have similar profiles, facial profiles.
And they're doing similar movies these days. I don't know if you've noticed what John Cusack has been up to, but he's pretty much Nick Cage at this point in his career.
Juan, deadpan, says, that's a fantastic story, and stares at the guy he's about to offer hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a job for him like he's an idiot. Ditto, Rico. Ditto. Esteban then explains that he's a heavy hitter, but the economy is shitty, to which Troy says, I heard that, in his best Humphrey Bogart. He did, which I honestly couldn't tell that's what he was trying to do.
I heard that.
Because it's just Nick Cage, right?
He's just doing a weird voice.
It was just Cage being Cage. He did say he wanted to get this job, right? Probably not the best impression to leave on the dude who's hiring you. Jose explains there's a guy who owes him a lot of money, so he suggests that Troy incentivize him by kidnapping his 1-year-old kid. Troy monologues that he doesn't like the sound of kidnapping and quotes some crime statistics saying that there hasn't been an unsolved kidnapping for ransom in the United States in a long time. He offers Troy $500,000 to do the job and then reveals he's a good guy because the baby won't remember being kidnapped. If he was 4, he'd never do that. Ugh, such a sweet guy. Sensing Troy's reluctance, which is kind of weird, why would he be reluctant? He throws in another $250,000, and Troy agrees.
It's like a terrible way to negotiate.
Yeah.
He's like,
Hey, guy who's been off-putting this entire conversation. Here's another $250,000.
Guy who just botched another job and then blew all the money.
Blew all the money in one frickin' night at a casino for no reason.
We see Troy and Diesel at a bar where sunken stomach ladies man, Mad Dog, is making out with a girl at a table.
So it's another strip club bar because there's a stripper pole just in the middle of the room.
Yeah. She's
just
waxing
like
it.
what you buy to stick in your living room.
He's making out
Paul
with this
Schrader
chick.
said that this was just a bar, and they decided to make it a strip club for some goddamn reason.
Never could have tell.
I can't tell. I just love that he's making out with this girl who, she could be like Puerto Rican or Native American or Indian, he doesn't know. She doesn't taste, what did he say? She doesn't taste Puerto Rican.
Taste Puerto Rican.
What does a Puerto Rican taste like? The sandwiches, the thing?
Cubanos?
Cubanos, yeah. Oh, no, that's Cuba. That's a different
I don't know.
Never would have guessed
I
that from the
apologize to our
name
Puerto
of the
Rican
sandwich.
fans. We hope one day you'll be the 51st state.
52nd. Let's DC's coming first.
Yeah.
Touche. Troy lays out the job to the all-stars he works with, and they eagerly agree after Troy explains that they're never going to get anywhere in life if they don't pull a big job. He sweetens the deal by saying they only have 2 options: total victory or death.
So it's total samurai, man.
Total samurai.
Jackie Chan.
Total samurai. Going out like samurais. Jackie Chan.
Now, I pass it off to you, Patrick, to land this plane that's on fire.
Oh my God.
And descending at a rapid pace. May God be with you.
Buckle up, kids, because
One of
we're
the
in for
pilots
a
is
bumpy
dead.
landing.
Cabin's depressurized. One of the
Buckle
wheels
up,
of the
buckaroo.
landing gear doesn't work.
Act 3. Time to resolve some shit.
This ought to be fun. The last 40 minutes of this movie are cinematic gold.
There's something.
All right. We see the guy who owes Chepe money heading home to surprise his baby mama, who is apparently cheating on him or something that was never made clear. I didn't really get what the fuck he was going home for. I don't.
And we're watching like 3 or 4 different phone conversations at once, like cut into each other.
Paul Schrader said that he just filmed him doing the take over and over and over again, and then just did jump cuts so that it would be interesting. And
so it's all supposed to be the same conversation, because I felt
it's
like
all
it was
the same
like 3
conversation.
conversations.
Yeah, I thought it was different conversations.
Which is why
It
they were
was
shot
all
like
the
different
same-
times a day, different locations.
the same paragraph, all just cut in different locations.
Jesus Christ.
Again, I feel like he was trying to do something like what Scorsese would do, which, you know, you've seen that in Scorsese films before. Like Goodfellas is a good example where he's like running from the chopper and he's talking on the phone and like he keeps looking for the chopper. But that actually made sense for what was happening. Anyways, that whole scene is set to the music that plays over the end credits of Ferris Bueller's Day Off for some reason.
It's a comedy.
You notice it was
It's a
pretty
comedy.
much. It was like a take on Boo No.
Yeah.
I was like that through that whole scene. It was I couldn't get over that. I just kept hearing Boo No. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
He said that the people who did the music for this movie had never scored a movie before. Surprisingly.
I couldn't tell.
And they
students?
do avant-garde music. They do experimental music and not actual music that, you know, is coherent.
Right.
But apparently they're a big fan of Mellow Yellow from the 80s, who did that song. Next, we see our heroes break into the house where the baby's at, unaware that the guy is inside waiting with a gun. They head upstairs where the babysitter and baby are asleep. So I guess Brennan broke into the house, grabbed a gun out of a dresser that was already there that he already knew about. The babysitter later says that she didn't recognize the guy, didn't know who he was. So he just knew that gun was there in that dresser in this place that he apparently doesn't spend very much time, enough time for this babysitter who apparently has been there long enough to never see him
she's
once.
the nanny, so childcare, live-in nanny.
Then he sits down on the couch, and the babysitter, who was in the house already, because she never spots him, never came downstairs once. She just was up there with the baby. And it was daytime when he came in and nighttime later on. So at least probably, at the minimum, like 3 hours.
Yeah,
that she never came downstairs. But probably more like 6 to 12 hours is what I was kind of envisioning in my head. Because it looked like afternoon when he came in, and then it was night when they broke in.
It's like full on night.
Yeah.
So they go up to the 3 genius all-star leads of this film, head upstairs to the baby's room, and then the sneaky dude, Brennan, I guess, comes into the room, flips on the light, so Mad Dog immediately blows his head off with a shotgun. Just flips around like, who's this guy? Bam! And just blows his head off.
And then Troy's line.
Troy voices his displeasure with what he just did by saying, "Bad dog." The fuck is this movie? Diesel chokes the babysitter for a minute while Troy tries to figure out how to shut up the baby. He asks what the thing is that you put in a baby's mouth to shut it up, to which Mad Dog says, dick? Which apparently was a line that Willem Dafoe threw out in rehearsals, and everybody laughed. So they just were like, put it in the movie.
Yeah,
To remind us it's a comedy.
Hilarious to stick a dick in a newborn baby's mouth. They check the headless guy's wallet, producing a license with the name Jose Vasquez. Mad Dog and Diesel steal the headless guy's truck and take off with the baby and the babysitter while Troy waits for the mom. She comes home and he shoots her immediately for no goddamn reason. even though she said she was going to cooperate and call Brennan so that he could pay the fucking ransom. This whole point of them being there.
Yeah.
So the two
why he
people
kills her.
who could have done anything to try and like actually get money for this stolen baby are both dead now. Of course, they don't know that. They don't know that the guy they just blew the head off of was the guy who owed the money.
Yeah, they thought he was some bodyguard.
Quick fact, Paul Schrader said that he killed her because they didn't know what to do with her character after that.
Oh my God.
Always great. You're just like...
I kind of felt like that was...
I mean, they had the nanny, so sure, you don't need the mom.
They weren't supposed to kill her. In the script and the budget and all that kind of stuff that they sent over to the producers of the film, she wasn't supposed to die. And they didn't have things set up to actually shoot her. They didn't have the squibs. They didn't have the experts on hand that are supposed to handle that type of stuff. So that's why they just show a flash from outside. Yeah. But on the day, he was just like, I don't know what to do with her. And then Nick Cage was like, why don't we just shoot her? So that's what they did.
I had a feeling that's exactly the reasoning behind it, because that was such an awkward scene. Lady, I don't got time for this. And then it just cuts to outside, you see a flash. And I actually I was like, what the fuck? I actually did a physical jump back because I was like, wait, what the? So how are they going to get the money then?
Yeah, I got pulled out of the movie right there.
like this guy that they just Zombieland, he's probably the guy that, was going to pay him out. So now where are they going to get the money? And then I thought, they're going to be running from the mob, so that makes sense. So now the mob is, and then, none of that shit ever happened, and I was writing a better movie in my head.
I hope that actress got paid up front, but
me too.
Since they didn't even pay Nicolas Cage when he showed up, I doubt it.
Probably not. Yeah. She's still probably chasing the studios for her $300. We see these three geniuses locking the babysitter and the baby into an abandoned house that looks like it'd be super easy to get out of. Like, there's like a couple of boards.
It's like
pull the board off and you just walk right out. Troy leaves her with a fully functioning cell phone that he'll call her on to give her the combination to get out of the house. The little lock that she could get out of. She could foreseeably use this cell phone to get help. But he tells her not to call anybody, so I'm sure she didn't. She just
system.
He told her there are people outside who will be very angry if she calls the cops.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So why not just call them to unlock her and let her and the baby go?
They're going to get real mad if they see anything suspicious. See? Yeah.
See? Yeah. See? Why are you talking like that? Talking like what? See?
Then he makes out with her just for the hell of it, and they leave. We never see this house again. We never see the baby or the babysitter again. For the rest of the film, it is never mentioned again. Just out of sight, out of mind.
So we can only assume she's starved to death in the house.
Yeah, her and the baby are emaciated mummies inside of that house now.
I feel like the actress's reaction to him like making out with her felt so real and uncomfortable that it was unscripted.
It was not scripted. God. Nick Cage just did it. And
Jesus.
To the surprise of everyone in the scene, including Willem Dafoe, if you watch him in the back, he's kind of like, what the hell? And then like Paul Schrader was caught off guard as well. Yeah, so
the real reason why they had to kill the wife is because they now owed this lady her $300 so she wouldn't file sexual harassment against Nicolas Cage for being a freaking
Jesus.
Yep. You know how women just love being kissed by random strangers without warning,
Right. Improv.
It's okay. Improv. He's Nick Cage.
Yeah, it's Nick Cage. It's fine. Troy heads to buy a disposable phone to call the Greek, while Diesel and Mad Dog head to dispose of the headless guy. But not the mom that they shot. He just left her in the house. Which begs the question, why bother? Why bother disposing of this guy when you didn't dispose of the other? Well, obviously, they know a murder happened there. Now they know two murders happened there.
Because it wasn't in the script. Because she wasn't dead in the original script, so they didn't bother
to... if we're going by movie logic here, like, what in the fuck was the point of disposing of the one body but not the other? Just left her there, so why did you bother?
At least include a line of dialogue that says, we got both of them in the back, and now we got to go,
That would have worked.
You don't have to show two bodies. Just say you got both in the...
That would have worked, but I'm sure that scene was probably shot after the other scene. But anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Troy lies to Greco and says the mom never showed up. Mumbles McGee then explains that the guy they shot was in fact Brennan, while Nick Cage punches a car in a way that only Nick Cage could do, that had the audacity of almost hitting him while he was walking blindly through the parking lot on his phone. I love that, like, smack on the hood and then get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Bad dog.
Greco tells him to meet him in the morning at Captain Tacos by the bagel place.
The highest class
the
of
guy who wrote
criminals here.
Taxi Driver co-wrote this film.
I thought he said by the pickle place, because
by
I
the
couldn't
bagel
understand
place.
a fucking word he was saying.
Nick Cage actually repeats it later on. Okay, by the bagel place.
That's the only reason why I knew he said bagel.
And he says he'll see if he can cool off Chepe, who might be a little upset that they blew the guy's head off, who owes him $5 million. Yeah, he might be slightly upset. I'll see if I can cool him off.
I love the look on his face when he hangs up the phone, too. It's just one of like, I'm trying to show that I'm not happy, but I don't know how to act, so it just comes off like I just maybe shit my pants a little bit, like a wet fart came out. He licks his lips.
This was Paul Schrader's acting debut, if you couldn't tell. He's never acted in anything before.
And his acting bow.
Yeah. I don't think we'll ever be
I don't know what the
casting
opposite
him.
of debut is called. It's that, whatever that is.
He apparently at one point warned Martin Scorsese. If you remember Taxi Driver, he plays a guy who pays Travis Bickle to stop in front of his wife's house while she's cheating on him with a quote N-word. And anyways, Paul Schrader tried to get Martin Scorsese to not do that role because he's like, you're going to hate your performance and you'll cut it from the film. But we would need this role to kind of show the delinquents that Travis Bickle is constantly exposed to. But it was the opposite. Martin Scorsese loved his performance in his own film and then cast himself in damn near every movie he did from then on. Paul Schrader eventually, after 40 years, 50 years in the business, decided to put himself in a film too, and that worked out swimmingly.
Only as a last resort, though.
Yes. Well,
Only
we should
after
point that out.
exhausting,
Yeah,
like every other actor he wanted for the part.
Yeah.
Who rightfully turned it down.
Who all walked away from this brilliant piece of cinema. Later that night, Mad Dog decides he needs to quickly hit the strip club before they dispose of the body. Keep in mind that they are driving the dead guy's Range Rover with his headless corpse in the back. Not that that ever comes up, but it seems like you wouldn't want to be making many stops.
No. Also, they just park right in front of the strip club too.
Yeah,
just right in front of the entrance door in what's not a parking space. So
I'd
likely get their ass towed.
I've spent a little bit of time around strip clubs, and I can tell you that the cops watch that place like a fucking hawk. So you don't want to park a stolen vehicle out front with a corpse that's already starting to stink in it. He and Diesel have a fun conversation about coping mechanisms, and then they head in to look at some titties and do some coke. Mad Dog reassures Diesel by saying the place they're dropping the body at is, like, totally close. Direct quote from the movie. It's like, totally close. He then lets Diesel know that he knows he doesn't like him, but that he really admires him, and that he always wanted to be friends with him. Aw, such a sweet moment. Then he does 2 lines of coke, and they leave the strip club that they spent 2 minutes and 32 seconds hanging out at. From the time they entered the front door to the time they leave, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Which begs the question, what in the fuck was the point of that scene?
They wanted to get another strip club in there.
Yeah.
Has he got a quota? Like,
how much money did they have to pay to get that private room to use it for 2 minutes?
Like, they could have had this conversation in the car. Was it just too much?
Right.
Too much in the car? Because they immediately continue their conversation in the car.
Go back to the car.
In the car, Mad Dog reveals that he's been trying to become a better person and that he's been praying a lot. He then lets Diesel know that he brutally murdered Sheila and her kid. He's been preying on that, though. Diesel seems like he could care less. Like, he just doesn't have a reaction whatsoever. Just like the rest of us, since who the hell knows if he even had a relationship with her and knew her in any way. Just like the rest of us. Wait, who is this woman to Diesel?
Right.
He knew her name and knew that she had a kid, but that's about it.
He's all just nonchalant about it. He's looking over at him like, sometimes you kill people, you know? Sometimes you kill a kid.
I'm acting, but I don't know what I'm trying to convey here in this scene. I feel like we were trying to set up something of him getting more and more agitated, but the whole time he's just blank-faced like a bulldog, just sitting there.
Just sitting. Yeah.
Mad Dog recoils at the thought of Diesel judging him for being the horrible monster he definitely is. But Diesel just cares about getting to the place where they're supposed to dispose of this body. He doesn't seem to give a shit about anything else that Mad Dog is talking about, just like the rest of us. Mad Dog says he wants to put the Mexican guy with Sheila and the kids so he can put a period on that part of his life. You know, the period where he committed 3 murders in the last 5 days? That period. Diesel says he'll help him get back on track since he's never lied or fucked him over and has never fucked up on a job. Except for the time he blew off the head of the guy they were trying to collect ransom from that required them to be in the car together so that they could have this poignant conversation on the way to dump his body.
Also, how many jobs have they done? Because to us, it's only 2.
Right.
He's never fucked up a job, to his knowledge, except for the job that they are on right now.
But I don't think he knows that, right? I don't think that... Troy was able to call them and tell them that the guy that they're burying is the guy that they're trying to get the money from.
Oh, true. That's true. They don't know that's
true.
Brennan or Brandon.
But he still fucked up the job by shooting a guy they didn't need to shoot.
Right. Which is now causing them to have to take a detour and go dump this body somewhere.
Go to Toledo.
But I guess to be fair to Mad Dog, had he not shot that guy, that dude probably would have started shooting them.
Yeah. He did
because he did have the pistol, and he's like, "You guys fucked up," and that's when Mad Dog just blast him,
blows his head off.
So anyways, I started blasting.
They reach the spot where Mad Dog leaves his victims, which is apparently a Coast Guard station that he managed to get kicked out of. Can't imagine why this guy would ever have trouble in the military. But,
I don't know either.
Mad Dog, he also says Semper Tyrannis or something like that, or Semper Fi, or he says something vaguely marine, but this is obviously a Coast Guard station, and it has the word Coast Guard written on it when they drive up to it. Mad Dog says...
I didn't catch exactly what he said, but it was a military phrase.
Yeah, so I feel like it was like the Semper Fi thing from Marines, but...
Yeah.
Mad Dog says tomorrow he'll turn a new leaf 3 seconds after doing a line of coke. Then asks Diesel if he thinks people can change while pulling this dead body out of the car. They head into the abandoned station, which contains a little Easter egg for the keen viewer. On the wall, you can read a 2-word review of this film from one of the critics that reads, "Suck ass." Just right in the entryway when they walk in. Mad Dog drops some forensics.
Well, we know Mad Dog eats ass, so maybe he wrote that.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe he wrote it.
It's his
Mad Dog
spot.
drops some forensic science on Diesel before revealing his body stash, where he says he wants Diesel to sit down with him and tell him 5 character flaws he can work on, while Diesel fights the urge to puke from the smell.
Don't be a pussy, come on.
Sitting on a pile of bodies.
Yeah.
I think of 1 or 2 character flaws right there.
Yeah, he says in his little forensic thing that when it's rotting, that's when it's the least bad for you. You're not going to get anything from these rotting bodies. I guess that's why he thinks that Diesel is a genius. Stuff like that. Suddenly, the floor gives out, sending Mad Dog, Diesel, Sheila's cupcake-making daughter, and Brennan hurtling down at least 1 flight. They all just fall through the floor right down to that. I felt like it was like 2 stories they fell down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why Mad Dog thought that was a good spot to put Honey Boo Boo and her mom.
Yeah.
And actually, like, how impressive that he was able to carry Honey Boo Boo's mom up those stairs by himself.
That's one of my Coppola questions. Yeah, it's one of my Coppola questions.
That's a good one. Diesel's horrified, slipping in blood, and trying to get away from the rotting corpses he's suddenly surrounded by, while Mad Dog continues talking about ways he could improve his character. For some reason, all of this really upsets Diesel to the point of putting a gun up to Mad Dog's head, and then he just unceremoniously puts the gun to his chin and blows his head off. Right through the little eye on his chin, which I guess was a good reason to have that eye there. Well, he said that he put it there just so that it would be weird in that first scene.
Okay.
As you do, you know, that's why you make story choices, just to make it weird. He calls Troy to let him know that Mad Dog is dead. Then it cuts to the 3 of them back at the Motel 6 partying like Michael Scott. They literally have a catch-up and mustard fight in their underwear while smiling at each other like children. Every time you think, no way this movie can throw me another unexpected curveball.
And it's a cut of Mad Dog getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
Superimposed over him getting sprayed with ketchup in the platoon pose.
In the platoon pose, yeah. We should point that out. I don't know if that was intentional, but I feel like it had to have been, right?
It had to be, yeah.
By the way, you know, like, I know he's old now, but, like, really, if you watch Platoon and you watch this movie back to back, Willem Dafoe really hasn't aged all that much. I mean, he's definitely a lot, like, you know, he's got a lot more wrinkles and stuff. But
yeah, he's one of those guys that always looked old, so
he did,
I think it just kind of helps you age as you actually get old.
That weird, like, Green Goblin grin that he's got, just, you know, he always looked bad, so, you know, it's like Steve Buscemi, like, he's always going to look the same, yeah. Troy and Diesel get back together, and he lets Diesel know that the guy they killed was, in fact, Brennan. Troy explains that he doesn't know if things will go well with the Greek and Chepe because he was the one who vouched for the insane psychopath who fucked up the whole job, who has been an insane psychopath since the first fucking moment we met him in the film. But he vouched for him, so he's pretty sure that this is my little call that the mob guys are probably going to kill them if they don't fuck up horribly in the next scene and get themselves killed. So, in the middle of this crisis that could end in their deaths at the hands of 2 mob bosses, hours after the death of Mad Dog, and while holding a woman and a baby hostage somewhere, Diesel decides he needs to restock the fridge, and they stop for some deli meat.
Remember, he could have been a Stanford lawyer.
Could have. By the way, he's like covered in blood from the rotting corpses that he was just crawling around in. He probably smells horrendous right now.
To his credit, his jacket looked a little messed up.
Yeah, he just blew a guy's head off at point blank range with a revolver.
Oh, God. Troy hangs in the car reading GQ magazine while Diesel shops and says a line they apparently decided to cut from the film, but you can clearly see him talking. I don't know if you noticed that. He's looking at the GQ and he mouths something, but they cut the line out of the movie.
I'm sure it was a real zinger.
Oh, Taylor Swift, huh?
I'm guessing it was because Taylor Swift is on the cover, and they mentioned Taylor Swift in the strip club scene that was in black and white for no inexplicable reason. And I'm sure it was probably he said something really raunchy about her that they were scared was going to be like
get them sued.
Maybe get them sued.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is known for suing people.
Kanye.
If you didn't know. Diesel arouses some suspicion for management when a guy spots his gun in his waistband. Probably also slightly suspicious that he's completely covered in blood from head to toe. But God damn it, he needed some bologna.
He's got the gore of at least 4 corpses on him.
Yeah. Quick fact, it's perfectly legal to carry a concealed weapon in Ohio because it's
I thought
Ohio.
that was weird. Because he
And,
says this guy's concealed carrying.
Yeah,
But
there's-
it's almost like he's open carrying because it's just stuck in his waistband, which I'm pretty sure is legal in a lot of states.
They said, there's probably no way that the manager would call because that's a perfectly normal thing that you run into all the time in places like Ohio.
Maybe there's some gray area with this because he was trying to conceal it, but then at the same time, like, how do you know he doesn't have a concealed weapon permit? You can't just say that he's breaking the law.
I'm guessing a responsible gun owner that has a concealed weapons permit wouldn't have a large ass revolver with no holster tucked into his whitey tighties.
True.
And they probably wouldn't be caked in blood and brain. And
they don't even bring up the blood though. That could be more.
He
says his jacket's all messed up.
Yeah. His jacket's a little messed up, and his jacket's a little messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the pieces of brain stuck to it?
Smell of decay.
The cops show up. One heads inside to deal with Diesel, and the other, tipped off by the manager, heads over to the Jaguar. Troy is still busily reading GQ magazine, and they said that that Diesel got out of that car. Like some people spotted Diesel getting out, so guess it makes sense that she goes over to Troy. Female officer asks Troy for his ID since his tabs are out of date. Which you would think you would probably want to deal with if you were a criminal who's constantly committing crimes. She tells him to step out of the car so she can search it, since they've had a bunch of shoplifting complaints, which makes sense. I guess that check and see if he has any merchandise that they stole. So he does the only logical thing and sucker punches her in the face. She goes for her gun, so he starts unloading haymakers on her before being pulled off by the other cop who came out just as he punched her in the face, which is bad timing. Just then, Diesel comes outside and shoots the female cop in the heart from 30 yards away. He bolts away at his top speed, which is about 3 miles an hour. And you watch it super just slowly jogging away. Another cop car cuts him off, and he blasts the cop since he immediately came out from behind his car to confront the guy who obviously has a gun in his hand. But Diesel says, "Surprise!" and shoots him.
Surprise, sucker!
Like he's got a gun that's like the size of my arm in his
hand. It's a long barrel gun. I don't understand.
Didn't spot that.
The cop's like, "Oh, hey, you stop off my knee! You shot my fucking knee!"
I could not have predicted this. Diesel steals the cop's car and heads towards the only other cop in the entire area instead of driving away.
Samurai, dude.
God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Samurai.
I thought, like, when he drove by him, that he was going to come and rescue Troy. Like, because there was only one cop.
Over.
Yeah, there was only one cop with Troy.
To be honest.
But no, he just drives by
He
him.
just drove off like an asshole.
Yeah.
Bye, Troy. See ya.
Good times.
Good luck with that. I hope they
The
don't
cop
drag your ass on
holding
the back of
Troy,
the
the cop holding Troy shoots at him, and hits a guy getting his hair cut inside of one of the buildings.
It does like the Sniper Elite X-ray shot through the thing, and then hits some guy.
and then right into Troy's heart.
It's CG heart for no reason.
Yeah.
Then we see a CGI model of Diesel's heart beating quickly for some damn reason, which I thought was the guy who got shot, but then it cuts to out of Diesel's chest and him like trying to calm himself down while he's running from two cops for some goddamn reason. He screams at himself trying to relax while running from the cops, and then just decides to kill himself right then. So why did he try and calm himself down? Maybe to go out on a calm night.
He was psyching himself up, I thought, maybe.
Yeah. So he crashes the car and takes himself out because of Troy's mantra of victory or death and going out like samurais repeating in his head. And so ends the life of a man who could have been a lawyer from Stanford in another universe, who displayed no above average intelligence one single time throughout the entire film, aside from to say how much water it takes to grow an almond. Why even set that up? Why did you say this guy could have been a fucking lawyer? He was a genius.
The only thing I can think of is they want to highlight how stupid Troy and Mad Dog are for thinking this guy is super smart.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, he was the only one to voice concern about kidnapping the baby. Like, this stuff never goes well.
Yeah.
Well, Troy also was like, I don't think this is a good idea, but then he threw in another 250 and he was like, all right,
and then
fine.
he's like,
I think Mad Dog or Diesel is the one that also lampshades the fact that, like, we're really doing this last big score thing. That never goes well for anybody.
yeah. Sorry, that's what he was saying. It's like, oh, this is cliche. It never goes well.
True, yeah. Next, we see two cops who weren't in the previous scene take Troy out to some abandoned buildings, which I'm told Cleveland has a surplus of. They pull Troy out of the car, beat the shit out of him, and then strap him to the seat belt of the back passenger side, whatever, the back seat belt. And then I don't know if that's strong enough to actually like hold a guy, but he's like handcuffed and being held by that seat belt, and they close the door, and then they drag him alongside the car cowboy style, and we fade to black. Next, we see an old black couple eating at a 50s style diner. We see a news report on the TV which says that Troy and Diesel are dead. They head to the car after their delicious meal, and wouldn't you know it, a bloodied Troy appears from the shadows and pulls a gun on them.
Something I want to point out here really quick. The license plate on this old couple's car says A113A on it, which there's an Easter egg in every Pixar movie where the number...
Is it that number?
Yeah, it's hang on.
What a dumb thing.
The number
to add
is
to this
A113.
movie.
So every Pixar movie has the number A113 in it because it's the name of some art room at Caltech or something where a bunch of Pixar animators studied. And I was like, is that intentional? Like or is it just a coincidence that they show the license plate at like two shots where you see it saying A113A?
It had to have been. Like, I'm positive that it was. He also said that they hired a bunch of students. Obviously, most of this movie was shot with film students, if you couldn't tell. And they came from a college, and it might have been, where the Pixar guys came from. Maybe it was.
Maybe they wanted to throw their own stamp on it.
It said all the signage in this movie was digital, so I'm sure that the license plate was replaced in
they
post.
had to have rendered that.
So render it. They probably all came from that school down in Florida that turns out a lot of visual effects artists.
And they wanted to homage it to Pixar.
Pixar, yeah.
All right, here comes the most baffling moment of the whole fucking film.
When Buzz and Woody show up and save the day.
Then, for some reason, Nick Cage just does Humphrey Bogart for the rest of the film.
Credits.
For no
That's all you need to know.
fucking reason whatsoever. So Paul Schrader explained in a very similar manner to how most things have happened in this film. He said that Nick Cage just started doing that in scenes, and at first he was like, "Stop doing that! What the fuck are you doing?" Like a director would do.
Like a good director would do.
And then Nick Cage just kept doing it, and he was like, all right, I'll let him have a couple takes. And then by the end of it, he was like, I started to get it. I started to like it. And I just decided, we'll just do this last scene with him doing Bogart.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Well, it kind of works. I got an idea of why it works.
Yeah, well, there is a point to it, but we'll get to it. So anyways, Nick Cage is doing Bogart, and I guess Paul Schrader just got tired of telling him not to do it, and they only had between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. to shoot this entire last sequence of the movie, because Nick Cage was done, and he was flying out at 7 a.m. So they only had one shot. They could only shoot it as Bogart, or they could shoot it normal. And they decided on the day that he would just do it as Bogart. And even Paul Schrader was like, I don't know if it's the right choice for the film, but we just did it. He then asks the guy. He then asks the old black guy if he has a pistol. A guy like you would have a big revolver, see? Which he does.
Like you would keep a gun in the car.
The minister has just a giant gun under his front seat. Troy takes the gun and then hops in the back. They head down the road while Troy smokes a cigarette and continues to talk like Bogart. Meanwhile, Reverend Charles Wilson and his wife Charlene Wilson beg him to let them go and then recognize him from the TV. You know, the report that said he was dead just 2 seconds ago. Troy explains that it wasn't like they said, see? And asks the Reverend if he's ever been to prison. And he says he has. So this prison has, this Reverend has a checkered past, I guess. Then he goes on a rant straight out of a 30s gangster movie about just wanting justice, and that the officer he punched in the face panicked and thought he was resisting. That's right, resisting. And Diesel just wanted to save him, which he didn't. He didn't even come close to saving him. Didn't even try to come near him.
Bitched out. Yeah.
Just left. He tells the Reverend he can tell he's a good man and that he's going to make it out of this. He just needs to get dropped off, and the only person who's going to go down for this is him. I mean, yeah, it's like straight out of like an Edward G. Robinson movie. Troy weirdly shakes his hand to give him his word from the back seat, and then the Reverend just immediately pulls over the car, and Troy takes over driving, and somehow drives directly into a cloud. I don't know if you noticed that, but everything is just complete fog now.
They transitioned into the mist.
They did.
Color out of space.
Yeah. Charles says Troy looks and sounds like Bogart from the back seat. Neither of those things are true. Troy then puts on a gospel tape and sees the flashing lights of a cop car that makes the cloud world the color out of space. Troy gets out of the car, the cops pull their guns, and suddenly another cop car shows up out of nowhere. They recognize him, and suddenly Troy is covered in blood again. He pulls his gun, and the cops start blasting the innocent black people in the car, while Troy stands 10 feet away. Easily the most realistic scene in the entire movie. The cops slaughter these two innocent people who are fucking standing nowhere near
He's not even in the car.
Nick Cage. He's nowhere near them. And then they finally shoot him, and I don't even know if like they technically kill him because they pick him up and put him in the back of the cop car after that. So it's like he just shot him, and then in the monologue we hear Troy finally sounding like a normal person again, where he says, "Justice, that's what I wanted." Then I started thinking, I didn't want justice. I just wanted what I wanted, just like everyone, and the rest of it was verbiage. The end. What in the fuck? I got a feeling I know what you're going to say, but it was confirmed by the director that the entire last epilogue of the movie was all in Troy's head, that he is dead. He was killed by the cops being drugged down the road.
That was my takeaway. Because the shot of him throwing him into the back is them picking up his dragged dead body. It's the same two cops in the same car, and they're tossing him into the back of it. Which is why it got all surreal and weird. It was just his delirium as they drug him to death.
And that's why he talked like Bogart the whole time, because he wanted to be...
That's why there's like a 50s diner, and he picks up this, carjacks this old couple dressed like they're in the 50s, and they're in their 1960s car with cassette tapes and stuff. He's just... and then the super saturated color over the fog and everything. It's just him... His last...
And then the cop car that just shows up out of nowhere next to him, and then everything starts to get warped and blurry, and then he suddenly has the blood all over him again.
Blaze of glory, and the cops were shooting innocent people because they're bastards, and
But like I said, he didn't actually die in the book at all. This was all something that Paul Schrader decided to do. He didn't die in the screenplay either. They just cut the entire third act and just put this piece of shit in this place. Whatever the fuck this is.
Wow. What the fuck? Okay then.
Well, they ran out of time because Nick Cage was leaving. So,
They did,
sure.
yeah. And I think they ran out of budget and a lot of things. But he said that he shot everything he wanted to shoot. They just, because they had such a short window, they had to trim some things ahead of time. And they decided to trim the fact that he lived and have him killed. And they're killed in this really weird way with this like surreal ghost fucking, I have no idea what the hell that last part was.